Déjà vu. Have you ever walked into a place and suddenly thought, wait, I've been here before, even though logic immediately says, no, you haven't. But in that moment, your brain confidently replies, trust me, I know what I'm doing. And somehow, you actually believe it. That feeling is called déjà vu. The French phrase literally means already seen. It lasts only a few seconds, but that's more than enough time to make you question your own memory and briefly feel like the main character in a time travel movie. Scientists believe déjà vu is caused by a tiny glitch in the brain. Imagine a librarian accidentally placing a brand new book on the shelf of old ones. Your brain can make the same mistake, filing a new experience as if it were an old memory. Sounds reasonable, but there's one problem. Why do some people feel like they know exactly what's about to happen next? And why does the experience feel so convincing that many would swear they've already lived through that exact moment? Because of this, countless other theories have appeared. Some believe déjà vu comes from forgotten dreams. Others think it's a brief overlap with a parallel reality. And some simply believe the brain is so incredibly complex that every once in a while, it manages to confuse even itself. And honestly, that last theory doesn't sound so crazy. After all, your brain weighs about 1.4 kilograms, contains roughly 86 billion neurons, yet somehow still forgets why you walked into the kitchen 5 seconds ago. Despite decades of research, scientists still don't have a definitive answer. The more we learn about the brain, the more we realize how many mysteries are still hidden inside it. So the next time reality suddenly feels strangely familiar, don't rush to blame the Matrix. It might just be your brain messing with its owner again. And apparently, it's surprisingly good at it. Limerence. Have you ever noticed that you can't stop thinking about one person? You check your phone every few minutes, and every message from them seems incredibly important. Even though logic says, calm down. But your brain replies, no, this is love. And somehow, you actually believe it. This state is called limerence. That is what they call a strong emotional obsession with another person. Thoughts about them can occupy almost all of your attention. Scientists believe that limerence is connected to the brain's reward system. Even a small amount of attention from the person you like can cause a powerful surge of joy. But there is one mystery. Why does this feeling pass quickly for some people, while for others it can last for months or even years? There is still no exact answer. Because of this, there are several theories. Some believe that it is all about the characteristics of emotional attachment. Others think that the brain simply idealizes the person. Despite years of research, scientists still do not know all the causes of limerence. So if one day you catch yourself thinking that you're checking your phone again while waiting for one particular message, maybe it's not just being in love. Maybe it's limerence. Sonder. Have you ever looked at a complete stranger on the street, in a cafe, or on a train and suddenly wondered what their life is like? Where are they going? What are they thinking about? Maybe they're having the happiest day of their life, or the hardest one, and you'll probably never know. This feeling is called Sonder. It's the realization that every person around you is living a life just as complex, vivid, and unique as your own. Psychologists believe this feeling is connected to our ability to empathize and imagine other people's experiences. At some point, your brain stops seeing strangers as part of the background and begins to recognize them as individuals with their own dreams, fears, memories, and stories. But there's one interesting mystery. Why does this feeling sometimes appear so suddenly and intensely, while at other times we barely notice the people around us? There's still no definitive answer. Because of that, several theories exist. Some believe Sonder appears when we become more mindful and aware of the world around us. Others suggest that it's the brain briefly shifting our perspective, allowing us to see ordinary reality in a completely different way. Even though the word Sonder was created only recently, the feeling it describes has likely existed for as long as humans have. So if you ever catch yourself looking at a stranger and realizing they have an entire life you'll never truly know, you might have just experienced Sonder. Hiraeth. Have you ever felt homesick for a place you can't return to? or even for a place that may have never existed. It's a strange feeling that's hard to explain. This feeling is called Hiraeth. It's a Welsh word that describes a deep longing for a lost home, the past, or a place that exists only in memory or imagination. Psychologists believe this feeling is connected to the way our memory works. Over time, the brain tends to idealize the past, making it seem better than it really was. But why does Hiraeth appear so suddenly? Sometimes an old song, a familiar scent, or a beautiful landscape can trigger it. No one knows the exact answer. One theory suggests that Hiraeth helps us stay connected to our past and our sense of belonging, even if that place can never truly be found again. So if you ever feel an unexplainable longing for a place you can't name, you may have just experienced Hiraeth. Kenopsia. Have you ever walked into a place that's usually full of people only to find it completely empty? A school at night, an abandoned mall, or a silent subway station. Suddenly, the place feels strangely different. This feeling is called kenopsia. It describes the eerie sensation of seeing a familiar place that should be busy, but is unexpectedly empty and quiet. Psychologists believe this happens because of the brain's expectations. We're used to certain places being filled with people, noise, and movement, so their sudden emptiness feels unusual. But why do some empty places feel peaceful, while others feel unsettling? Scientists still don't have a definite answer. One theory suggests that kenopsia appears when the brain notices a mismatch between what it expects to see and what is actually there. That may be why empty streets, schools, airports, and stadiums can leave us with a strange feeling that's difficult to put into words. Anemoia. Have you ever felt nostalgic for a time you never lived in? Maybe the 1980s, the Middle Ages, or another era you've only seen in movies, books, or old photographs. This feeling is called anemoia. It describes a sense of nostalgia for a past that you never actually experienced. Psychologists believe anemoia is connected to imagination. Our brains combine images from films, music, stories, and photographs to create an idealized version of the past. But why do we feel drawn to times we've never lived through? Scientists still don't have a definite answer. One theory suggests that anemoia appears when we long for a sense of simplicity, peace, or romance that we feel is missing from modern life. That may be why a past we never experienced can sometimes feel surprisingly familiar. Monachopsis. Have you ever felt like you don't quite belong where you are? Everything around you seems normal, yet deep inside, it feels as if you're somehow in the wrong place. This feeling is called monachopsis. It's a rare term used to describe the sensation of not fitting into the world around you, even when everything appears perfectly fine. It's not an official psychological diagnosis, but rather a word that gives a name to an emotion many people experience yet struggle to explain. Why does monachopsis happen? There's no definite answer. Some believe it's connected to anxiety, major life changes, or the ongoing search for where we truly belong. One theory suggests that it appears when our inner expectations don't match reality, creating the feeling that we're living in the wrong story. Maybe that's why, even surrounded by familiar places and people, we can sometimes feel like complete strangers. Opia. Have you ever felt strangely uneasy while holding eye contact with someone for too long? As if something deeper was happening without a single word being spoken. That feeling is called opia. It's a rare term that describes the mix of curiosity, vulnerability, and discomfort that can arise during prolonged eye contact. It's not an official psychological diagnosis, but rather a word for an emotion many people have experienced without knowing it had a name. Why does opia happen? There's no definite answer. Many believe that sustained eye contact makes us feel emotionally exposed and unusually aware of the other person. One theory suggests that this is why eye contact can feel both deeply connecting and slightly uncomfortable at the same time. Maybe that's why sometimes it's easier to look away than to hold someone's gaze for just a few more seconds. Jamais vu. Have you ever repeated a familiar word so many times that it suddenly started to look strange? Or walked into a place you've been hundreds of times, only for it to feel completely unfamiliar for a moment? That feeling is called Jamais Vu. It's the experience of something well-known suddenly seeming new or unfamiliar. It's not an official psychological diagnosis, but a rare phenomenon that almost anyone can experience from time to time. Why does Jamais Vu happen? There's no definite answer. Researchers believe it's linked to a brief disruption in the way the brain processes memory and familiarity. One theory suggests that the brain temporarily fails to recognize information it normally identifies instantly, making familiar things feel oddly unfamiliar. Maybe that's why, every once in a while, even your own name, a common word, or your favorite street can feel as if you're encountering it for the very first time. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments what video I should make next.